What up? This is Rama Screen, and it's time for another celeb interview. And in the anticipation of Mortal, which arrives in select theaters nationwide and on demand and digital November 6th, I'm here talking with the director of this new movie, Andre Øvredal. How you doing, Andre?
Very good. How are you? Nice to be on your show.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. I'm a huge fan of your movies, by the way. Troll Hunter, The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I consider to be one of the best horror movies of all time. And now Mortals is a fascinating fantasy action drama based on Norse mythology about this young man who discovers he has god-like powers. So, Andre, is it fair to describe or categorize Mortal as a superhero movie? And what inspired you to create this story?
I mean, I can totally get that. It feels, I mean, that it has a superhero twang to it because that's obviously part of it. But I think to me, it's always been just like almost like a road movie, like a movie of self-discovery and a very personal, intimate little story. And it just kind of grows out of that, grows something with a superhero theme. No, I mean it's a movie I wanted to make for many years, and it's been in a back burner behind, just crawling up behind the autopsy of Jane Doe, and then eventually scary stories, and finally we got it out. Um, and it was a film that I felt very close to, that I felt very personal to. Um, uh, with the I was creating the story from a very personal point of view on life, and hoping it could become yeah, like a dark superhero story. It's true, it's something in that vein.
Now, Nat Wolff, whom I've personally met before, he's a fantastic actor. He did an excellent job in this movie, but he's also an interesting choice for an English Norwegian language, kind of movie where most of the actors are Norwegian. So, um, what was the decision behind the casting of Nat Wolff, and what is it about him that fits the character of Eric?
I mean, I always wanted to have basically like an anti Marvel movie, and I found that he had a lot of the qualities that I was looking for. That where he was very different, he was very unexpected. I wanted to throw the idea of who a descendant of a northern god could be, and he was such a very intuitive and present actor that I immediately liked when I basically had a Skype like this with him the first time I met him. And we talked for a long time, and it was I totally understood how he saw the character, and he understood what I was trying to do. And I know his work from other movies, and it was basically he was just a real a real wonderful actor to get for this part.
Can you talk a bit about the visual effects that you had for those lightnings? They're so visceral. I can feel it, like striking or the electricity burning through my laptop. Can you talk a bit about the process of making that happen on the screen?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of work because we had to kind of, the movie has lightning as obviously as a certain visual theme, from very small sparks in a room to huge pillars of lightning out in nature. And we had to kind of find a way to connect all those visually. So we did a lot of R&D on connecting scale in lightning, if you will. And and we have to have on-set integration between what light and the characters. So there is always something flashing on set. There is always something giving the real interaction between the surroundings and the characters and everything. And then you have to then you have to go in and layer it. And actually, what is impossible to realize is there is a big scene in the middle of the movie which takes place on a bridge, and we closed that bridge for 5 days, and we
Wow.
shot, and we it was this is like the main thoroughfare between the two biggest cities in Norway, and you can't imagine all the mess, but it was really well organized, and we had a wonderful relationship with the authorities in making that work, and it was such we had to like have all these huge lightning rigs out on that bridge. We had to, the weather would change every few hours. So it would be sunlight, it would be raining, it would be this, it would be that. And we had to go through, I think, 150 shots or something just to organize the weather conditions so that you remove all the skies, you remove all the blue skies, you add in layers and are growing. Obviously, the weather, the clouds are getting darker and darker, and all that is a storytelling piece that also has to work on top of just replacing what was there. So it's very complex, and we are on a low budget. This is a Norwegian movie. It's not a big Hollywood movie. It's a fraction, of what a Hollywood movie has. So it's it was a huge endeavor.
Man, I loved every minute of it. I think it's awesome that filmmakers such as yourself can go back and forth between your homeland and Hollywood to make movies and produce projects. Does making films in Norway provide certain flexibility or creative freedom that working within Hollywood system might not have by comparison?
No, I think the process is very similar. The process I have had on every project I worked on in Hollywood has been absolutely amazing. I mean, it is such an inclusive group of producers and studios, and everybody's collaborating and just trying to figure out the best way forward for the story. Never have I really been in a situation where somebody's telling me what to do. It's always a collaboration. It's always a wonderful, relationship from top to bottom. So and that is the same in Norway. I think that the difference for me personally is that my stories have a tendency to be Norwegian at heart. So they're easier to, it's easier for me to tell a Norwegian story in Norway. It's also easier in a way to get it financed in Norway, but it's not that much difference actually. Yeah.
All right, my final question is the conclusion to Mortal is open-ended. It leaves the audience curious and wondering what happens to Eric. Will there be a sequel? And are you developing a sequel to Mortal?
I would love to make a sequel. It would be fantastic. As you said, it kind of sets it up. This is the beginning of a story more than a complete story. So it's that is the dream scenario. I'm developing another couple of movies to do next, but if I could ever get back to Mortal, that would be wonderful. Yeah.
All right. Everybody at home, go check out Mortal, arriving in select theaters nationwide and on demand and digital November 6th. And Andre Øvredal, thank you so much for talking to me, and congratulations, sir.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.